I've been working on a project for a little while, and it's starting to take shape, and so I'd like to share some of the progress and perhaps go a little bit into more depth about why I'm doing this and what's the point. Um, I think there's a need to be able to take data, controls data, and meter data out of buildings securely and send it to cloud service or be able to use it easily outside a building without having to have access to the building or IT getting involved or having to create all this infrastructure around how to get into a corporate network and pull data out for analysis, for alarming, for machine learning. Algorithmic based control. Who knows, right? But the point is, I don't think it's that easy today for folks that are not well versed in building automation or controls engineering or system integrations in general. It's not that easy for them to, first of all, get their hands on hardware that is readily capable of making these connections, and secondly, having the know-how, right? So ideally, something like this would simplify that. Now, the main idea here is that there will be a website for Kloudnuk, but there will also be a REST API, and anything we would do over the website, we should be able to do via REST API calls. And that way, this is essentially just another piece of a puzzle of a larger ecosystem where we're creating data pipelines easily, and we don't have to rely on others basically to get this information or pay lots of money for it. So I think REST APIs are very common and everyone's very familiar with them. The first order of business here would be to create an org, and an organization is just a name to group all your data and to group all your users and devices under it. Here in this case, I chose test building just because at the time I didn't know what I was doing. And then name, password, just real simple, right? I don't need to know your street address or any of that for this to work. So um, send, that's a 201. Our org just got created. So now that we've created an org, we have an admin user, this V. Smolinski. So now V. Smolinski is essentially what we use to authorize all our future calls and this password. This uses basic authentication. So as you can see here, um, well, actually, I will show you on the next call. So the next order of business would be to maybe create another user. Um, So now this type of call, you are now using your initial administrator user account that you created when you created your org. And here's the authorization basic. So this is HTTPS, you can see. So the connection is going to go encrypted. The data is going to go encrypted in transit. It's a secure connection. And the password gets encrypted once it hits the database. So it's also encrypted at rest. Um, so here's the next thing one would do, and this step is already part of what the shell script would do. So a person would typically download a shell script from public GitHub repo that I'm gonna share eventually, and would run this script on the Raspberry Pi. They would just answer a few prompts like, device name, description, etc. And then the rest of this information like gateway, um, status, controller ID, and so on, the script gathers this information automatically, so you don't really have to worry about. Here I'm just showing the type of API call that that script would run. And so now that we have a device enrolled and we've been able to capture the Raspberry Pi's information so that we know that it's a unique device and we don't have duplicates or things like that, then we can go ahead and activate that device. And activation basically means we're going to download a client certificate so that it can access the database via mutual TLS, and a module, software module, in this case a BACnet client, so that it can communicate. In the future, when we have more modules, hopefully I'll be able to change this a little bit so that we create a body, and then in the body we'd be able to specify a list or an array of modules that we want to download. So again, this is all really done by that script that you would run, so you wouldn't have to really necessarily worry about this, but this is how it would work. And so now we should be able to see that device. So we just add it. We should be able to see our users. The first one we created when we created the org, and then the second one we added once we already had this first admin. And then lastly, if your Raspberry Pi is connected to your network, um, then the script should have configured it and get it ready to poll and start looking, discovering devices on any available port and so on the it doesn't even care about the IP address, it's just looking at the network interface that we're using. So here my Raspberry Pi, it's already pushing data to the database, and then the web server is already able to get this data and start pulling it over via REST API from anywhere in the world. Because again, this HTTPS Kloudnuk.com is live on the cloud. So we've got some BACnet points. This is pretty much standard BACnet um, object properties for points. The only thing that's non-BACnet would be this last synced property, which I added in order to have a measure of staleness or freshness of the data as it sits on the database, right? We want to make sure that we're collecting fast from the network and that we don't have data that seems like it just got to the database, but it's from like 3 days ago as far as the BACnet network in the building is concerned. So another thing that we've got is we've got device configurations, and we can create multiple device configurations. We could have one device configurations for each device. And so the way to know what device this configuration belongs to is by this Nuke ID field. And then this is a get request, but we're going to incorporate a post and an update request. So essentially, you'll be able to make changes from the cloud that affect the device configuration on premises. So you'll be able to change the time zone, the log level, how fast polling, how fast to discover, etc. We'll add port number here and IP address perhaps in the future as well. So lastly, we're also gathering device logs so that if you, for whatever reason, don't have access to the Raspberry Pi directly because you're not on site and you're somewhere else far, you can also gather logs. It's based on a regular expression today, but I'll have lots of samples for regular expressions. And today, using ChatGPT for regular expressions is child's play, really. And so that's all I have for now. Next video, I'm going to do a live download, a live demonstration of downloading the script from the public GitHub, running that script directly on a Raspberry Pi, and getting that Raspberry Pi connected basically by just running the script and answering a couple of prompts. Thank you for much. Thank you so much if you stuck through it and you watched till the end. And if you like this and you want to collaborate and work together in the near future and perhaps do some beta testing with your own Raspberry Pi, I'm definitely going to be looking for folks to help out, and use this product and enjoy the product as well. So look out for that. Thank you so much.